His father Isaac said to him, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm your son, Esav, your firstborn." Yitzhak was seized with very violent trembling. "Who was it then," he demanded, "that hunted game and brought it to me? Moreover, I ate it before you came, and I blessed him. Now he must remain blessed." When Esav heard his father's words, he burst into wild and bitter sobbing and said to his father, "Bless me too, father." But he answered, "Your brother came with guile and took away your blessing." Esav said, "Was he then named Yaakov, that he might supplant me these 2 times? First he took away my birthright, and now he has taken away my blessing." And he added, "Have not you reserved a blessing for me?" Isaac answered, saying to Esav, "But I have made him master over you. I have given him all his brothers for servants and sustained him with grain and wine. What then can I still do for you, my son?" And Esav said to his father, "Have you but one blessing, father? Bless me too, father." And Esav wept aloud. Every year when we get to this parasha in this section, my heart breaks. I'm sure many of you feel the same way. Our hearts break for Esav, left sobbing without a blessing. Only one blessing. Yaakov got it. And Esav is left brokenhearted, deceived, confounded, sad. And if you look at the text, he's such a nice guy. I mean, he's such a nice person. But for our tradition, as it is said in the rabbinic literature, Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai said, "Halacha hi beyadua she'esav soneh leYaakov." It's a decree, halacha hi. It's a decree, it's irrevocable. And known that Esav hates Yaakov. Where does this come from? Not from our text, and not from Parshat Vayishlach, when Yaakov and Esav re-encounter each other 20 years later. And Esav couldn't have been nicer. Of course, there is an old enmity between the descendants of Yaakov and the descendants of Esav later on. The descendants of Esav live in the southern part of Israel, in the kingdom of Edom. They are the descendants of Esav, and there's tension between the Israelites and the Edomites. And later on, in the times of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, when he said that it is known, well known, and irrevocable that Esav hates Yaakov, at that time, of course, the rabbis associated Edom with Rome. Judea was under Roman occupation, and the Jews hated their oppressors. They hated their materialism, they hated their paganism, their idolatry. And so, since Edom is Rome and Esav is Edom, then Jews hated Esav. And then Rome became Christian, and Christians persecute the Jews eventually, and so all the more so, Edom was Rome and Esav is Edom, and so Jews hated Edom even more so. And then when they reread the text, when we, our people, reread this text, we retrojected into the text the hatred that we Jews had for Rome, for Edom, and made Esav the ultimate enemy. But let's look at the text. I invite you to turn to page 146. We're going to begin with verse 25 on page 147, actually. This is after Rebecca cannot get pregnant, and she prays to God. Actually, Yitzhak pleaded on behalf of Rebecca. Verse 25. Actually, let's go to verse 23. And Adonai answered her, 2 nations are in your womb, 2 separate peoples shall issue from your body, 1 people shall be mightier than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. Berav Yavot Tzair. When her time to give birth was at hand, there were twins in her womb. The first one emerged, red like a hairy mantle all over, so they named him Esav. Then his brother emerged, holding on to the heel of Esav, so they named him Yaakov. Yitzhak was 60 years old when they were born. When the boys grew up, Esav became a skillful hunter, a man of the outdoors, but Yaakov was a mild man who stayed in the camp. So, in the beginning of their lives, the children were alike. And as they grew up, they started to become differentiated. Esav became a person of the outdoors, very much into his body, hairy, macho-looking. And Yaakov was tam, it says here. Ish tam. Tam means innocent, or sincere, or noble. He doesn't go into the outdoors. He sits in tents. He's indoors. He's not into his body. He's more into his mind. Rashi says, Eino baki becholele. He doesn't have any experience with the outdoors and with hunting like Esav. Kelibo chen piv. Just what is in his heart is what he says in his mouth. He's sincere. Misheino charif leramot karui tam. A person who is not sharp to deceive and to lie is called tam, is called sincere. Yitzhak favored Esav because he had a taste for game, but Rebecca favored Yaakov. And the text doesn't use the word favor, it says ahav, or yehav, or hevet, loved. Yitzhak loved Esav, and Rebecca loved Yaakov. They each had a favorite child. And then it continues, Vayazed Yaakov Nezid. Once when Yaakov was cooking a stew, Esav came from the open famished. And the commentator Orach Chaim says, perhaps the reason Yaakov did this, that he was cooking, was that he had observed how effective Esav's providing his father with delicious meals had been in cementing Yitzhak's love for him. He therefore tried to emulate his brother. He wanted to gain his father's love by cooking. And so he cooked. And Esav came in from the open, from the outdoors. He had been hunting, perhaps, and he was famished. And Esav said to Yaakov, give me some of that red stuff to gulp down, for I am famished. Which is why he was named Edom, from the word Adom, from that red stuff. The lentils were red lentils. He is so famished, he can't even come up with a word for stew. That red stuff. He's so hungry. And then the next thing that happens, Yaakov said, first tell me your birthright. Doesn't behave like a brother, right? Your brother comes in from the outdoors. He's famished. He can't even name the name of the dish because he's so hungry. Give me some of that red stuff. And Yaakov, instead of having compassion and empathy for him and giving him some of the stew, no. First, sell me your birthright. And Esav said, I am at the point of death. So what use is my birthright to me? And first sell me your birthright. I mean, so calculating and cold. Yaakov doesn't awaken any sympathy. I think our sympathy now is with Esav. He's hungry. He wants to eat. He's tired. And then Esav says, I'm at the point of death, or I am about to die, or I am going to die eventually. It's not clear exactly what this means. Am I going to die of hunger? That's what he means, and so I need to eat right away. And therefore, who cares about the firstborn rights? Or does it mean, look, people don't live for much long, or for too long. So eventually I'm going to die. So who cares about the privileges? I mean, I'm a mortal human being. Who cares about the privileges, the first right of the firstborn? What is the birthright to me? What is the birthright? The birthright was the oldest child, the oldest son, was the primary guarantor of the future of the family line and the preservation of the ancestral heritage. That person was charged with preserving the family heritage. He was the successor to the head of the family. And this had responsibilities and obligations and also rights and privileges. He inherited twice 2 portions of the father's wealth. And so there was good reason for people to want to be the firstborn, but he says, who needs this privilege? Esav is not interested. I'm going to die. His fatalism gets him trapped in the concrete, in the here and now. What's important here and now is I'm hungry and I want to satisfy my hunger. So he concedes what is his right, what is his. He gives it up. He doesn't give it any importance. What is this privilege to me? I don't care. He devalues it. He spurns it. And of course, Yaakov, who is ambitious, assertive, calculating, envisioning the long term, he wants it. Esav can't see beyond the plate that is in front of him. He's not interested in playing a role in the unfolding of the family history. He's not interested in destiny. He's going to die, so who cares? He's totally indifferent to transcendence. His focus is on the immediate. And the immediate is that he is tired and very hungry. And so the next thing, Esav said, I'm at the point of death, so what is use? What use is my birthright to me? But Yaakov said, swear to me first. So he swore to him. He was not going to give him to eat until he swore first. So he swore to him, and he sold his birthright to Yaakov. Yaakov then gave Esav bread and lentil stew, and look at what it says here. Vayochal, vayesh, vayakum, vayelech, vayivez Esav et habechora. And he ate and drank, and he rose and went away. This one after the other, Robert Alter, in his commentary, says, rapid-fire chain of verbs expresses the precipitous manner in which Esav gulps down his food and casts away his birthright. It's quite striking. And he ate and drank, and he rose and went away. Thus did Esav spurn his birthright. One after the other. And that's it. And that's the end of that story. And look back at page 147. What Adonai says to Rivka, 2 nations are in your womb, 2 separate peoples shall issue from your body. 1 people shall be mightier than the other. V'rav ya'avod tza'ir. Rav ya'avod tza'ir. So in this moment, in the story, Yaakov prevails. But the truth is that we all have Esav and Yaakov within us, just like Rivka had Yaakov and Esav within her. And Esav and Yaakov are fighting within us. One who is focused on the immediate, the other one who's focused on the long term, in the destiny. One who needs to satisfy his desires, who wants immediate gratification, who needs to fulfill his material needs, and the other one who's focused on something larger, deeper, more consequential. We all have this. Esav pulls to one side, Yaakov pulls to the other side. They're fighting within us. Who will prevail? Who does prevail at any given moment? Esav or Yaakov? And it says here, V'rav ya'avod tza'ir. The older shall serve the younger. But the Hebrew is very, very ambiguous. It says, V'rav ya'avod tza'ir, which can be read as, the older shall serve the younger, or can be read as, the older, the younger shall serve. So who serves who? Yaakov serves Esav, is subservient to Esav, or Esav is subservient to Yaakov. V'rav ya'avod tza'ir, the older shall serve the younger, or the older, the younger shall serve. So we're often like Esav. We want to satisfy our immediate needs. We get trapped in the immediacy of our desires and concerns, and we give up something larger. Our eyes get caught on the plate in front of us. We can't see the possibility, the opportunity that lies beyond. We sell the long term for the sake of the short term. That's Esav. But often we are like Yaakov. We are invested in the future. We are ambitious. We are assertive. We have patience. We calculate. We strategize for the sake of the future. But we can't see what is in front of us because we are deep in our dreams and in our ambitions. We get caught up in lofty spiritual pursuits and ignore what is going on around us, the needs and the demands of the present hour. So who wins, Yaakov or Esav at any given moment? And the truth is they're fighting constantly within us. And they're both good. They're both good. Yaakov is good and Esav is good. And they're both good for us. Esav is good for us and Yaakov is good for us. The question is, are we aware who has the upper hand at any given time? Are we in control of whom do we give the upper hand at any given time, or do we let them fight and whoever wins, wins? And sometimes we spurn the future because we need to gratify desires in the here and now. And sometimes, because we're so focused in the future, we can't see what's around us. We can't see ourselves, we can't see our loved ones, we can't see what's going on. And so we're so much in our dreams and our visions and in the future and in the long term that we're just oblivious to what's going on around us. So the issue here is not one is good and the other one is bad. One needs to dominate all the time and the other one needs to be put down. But we need to hold them both. They're both good. They both necessary. They both need to dominate, but at different times. And we need to be the ones who make the decision who is the one in charge at any given time?